Welcome back to season 2 of the Katie Wellness Show. I am back with more amazing tools, awesome interviews, and some great discussions to help you optimize your health, body, mind, and spirit. Not only can you use these tools every day, you can also teach them to your children and to your family members so that you can raise emotionally and physically resilient children, so that you can show up more in your life, that you can take back your personal power. Get ready to tap into your intuition. I'm so excited that you're here. You are worthy of health and of joy and of thriving in your motherhood, thriving in your life. Thank you for being here today. I'm all about finding resources, and I kind of had an awakening of sorts. Just recognizing that how much was lacking with what we are provided with Western medicine and conventional medicine. And only when I went to this more holistic side, to a clinic in Mexico, did I find solutions and answers and to feel good finally. Cool. So, it kind of started this, how can I take some of these things that I've learned, some of these therapies that are in Mexico that may not be accessible to everyone, and provide this education? And also, how can I prolong what I'm doing in Mexico? Because in Mexico, I get stem cell injections and I do lots of detoxes, and I want that to be worth the time and the resources that I put into getting there.
Yes.
That I wanted it to last as long as possible.
Yeah.
Or
and honestly, like the foot zone, that's what it does, is it keeps you in a state of balance so that what you're doing is effective and efficient, So
yes.
I think that's so cool that you're doing this.
Well, and there's so much that I believe that our bodies are electric, and obviously we have energy, right? But when you just look at the body itself, you miss that piece.
Yeah, you
So
do.
it takes, your energy has to be in a good place, and your nutrition and your spiritual, like, connectedness, right? Connectedness to a higher being. I think it takes all of that to be holistically well, like at the root, at your cellular level.
And I personally, like, this is just like my personal opinion, but I've done a lot of like spiritual journeys and trying to like figure out like why I personally struggle with health issues, because I'm just like, it sucks to be like in the healer's world, but then have your own health conditions, and like have to do this. But I personally believe so much of it is, yes, we've progressed so far with some aspects of life, like with convenience and modern life and travel and all those things. But I also feel like it pushed us back really far because our bodies aren't evolved to be going at the fast pace that we go, and the processed foods that we have, and we're not living connected to the earth anymore. And that sounds like so hippy dippy, but I look at it kind of like a biological level thing of like, but truly our bodies are not used to this. This is nuts.
The amount of chronic illnesses and autoimmune diseases that are coming up, they are unprecedented. And they're like, it's not just one thing, but it's all of those things combined: the fast pace, the preservatives, the convenience foods, the feeling guilty for resting or for productive, or all of those things, right? So we have to have balance.
I totally agree. And being able to figure out how to like make our lives work with that, like, because part of my struggle is like I feel really guilty when I like slow down or when I do these other things. And the reality is this, like, I just have to learn how to like be patient with my body, love my body, listen to it, give it the occasional boost in the right direction. But it's hard because the health issues are not going away, they're getting worse.
Welcome, Bree. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so glad that we were able to make this work and get in contact. Will you start by telling me a little bit more about yourself and my listeners.
I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. I love what you're doing. I love the idea of a podcast for women's health and wellness and everything. So thank you for having me. I am what's called a foot zone therapist, which is kind of a unique thing if you've never heard of it. I guess I would say we're kind of a unique group of people because we're all very holistically minded. And what we do is we work on the feet. It's similar to reflexology, which I'll talk to you a little bit more about that, I'm sure. But we work on the feet and we help the body to come into balance by opening these pathways in the body called energy meridians. So when the body is in a state of balance, then the body can heal, the body can function correctly, the body can be out of pain, all these things. So there's so many amazing benefits to being in a state of balance. And foot zoning is just one of many, many ways, I'm sure you know that, to bring the body into a state of balance. So I'm a practitioner for it, but I'm also an instructor for it. And I just love it. I am very passionate about it.
Yeah. When did you start training? When did you start your education?
So I started foot zoning back in 2008. But here's the crazy is I was actually raised with foot zoning. So my parents, Brad and Susan Noall, started We Defeat seminars back in 2001. So foot zoning came into my world when I was like 10 years old. And it was kind of just like this crazy cool thing because I mean, we kind of were talking before about how you love helping like women and all that stuff. That's how my mom started to heal after postpartum depression. She had my youngest brother, and she just was horribly postpartum hormonal, and everything was just up and down, and she just wasn't her normal self. She was angry and miserable and hated us, and that's not my mom by any means. And someone introduced her to foot zoning, and she got zoned maybe 3 times in like 10 days, and her hormones regulated, and she's just like, well, gotta learn this. And so she got into foot zoning, and a year later my dad got into foot zoning. A year later they started We Defeat seminars, and so it's been a part of my world for a long time. But me practicing, I've been practicing, I mean, 17 years now, so I've been doing it a long time, and then I've been teaching for 10, oh goodness, 11 now, so I've been teaching it as well. So it's fun, I love it, and it's just a wonderful thing to do.
Okay, so talk to me about what a foot zone is. I know you said it's
Yes.
opening up these meridians.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Uh, Explain it a little bit more
Yeah.
for those who aren't familiar with it.
So my preferred way of kind of like explaining it. So these meridians are, we have like 10 main ones that go up and down the body. I like to kind of think of it like they're the highway. So 5 lanes of traffic on both sides of the body, up and down, 10 lanes of traffic. And the energy that flows up and down on the meridians are like the cars or the vehicles. And then ideally, we want those meridians or those highways, everything to be flowing at a high frequency, a good, consistent speed limit, right? So imagine going down one of the main highways and you want it to be consistent and everything flowing well, no traffic jams, no accidents, or anything like that. But in our body, because of injury, illness, disease, stress, emotion, we'll get traffic jams throughout our body. And that's what causes problems. Foot zoning is like the GPS system of reading the maps of the body. And so we go through the feet and we follow very precise maps, and we can tell where the energy is stuck or where there are traffic jams on those meridians and those highways, where there's going to be stuff that just isn't flowing as well as it could be. And our job as foot zoning is to go through, and we use touch, pressure, massage, and we just kind of work through the foot with our hands, and we are pulling and moving the energy, basically realigning the GPS system and telling it to like, okay, we're also going to clean up the debris as we go along. Does that make sense?
Yes, that is probably the best analogy that I've ever heard
Good. I'm
for.
glad you like it.
Yes, so thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So people who maybe have only heard limited amounts or maybe who have
Mm-hmm.
never heard before, this might be a good explanation. What do you say to those people who are like, oh, foot zoning is just like a glorified foot rub?
Well, I would say you're not wrong. It is a very nice foot rub. It does feel really good. But there's more to it because it's an extremely accurate map. I can't even begin to explain it how accurate the map is. We can feel things in the body of emotions that are stuck in the body, but also things like circulation and digestive issues, health issues, hormonal issues. Now, we're not here to diagnose or to tell you like this is what's going on, but we can be like, hey, the energy in this area of your body is struggling. What's going on here? And then we can kind of have that conversation and we can work together to bring the body into a state of balance. And then, as we all know, when the body is balanced, you start to feel better. So, yes, it is a glorified foot zone, like, or a foot rub, like you're going to feel good and your feet feel great. But there are so many health benefits to it. We just have to have a little bit of open mindedness and try it. And it's pretty amazing.
Yes. Well, I do have a story to share on that
Yeah.
topic. I did so one of the therapies that I offer for my clients is called a hair scan. And we take a hair sample. It looks at the root, at the follicles and at the connective tissue.
Yeah.
And it um, gives a report based on the frequencies
Mhm.
that are there. So it's very energy based, right? Um, but it gives a report saying which body systems are struggling,
Huh?
which nutrients are low, or if there's an overabundance of heavy metals or radiation or bacteria or viruses. And I was doing a hair scan for someone who does foot zoning.
Mhm.
And I told her that her adrenal system was off. And so she grabs the foot and she feels it and she's like, it is.
It is off.
And
Yeah.
I was like, yes, that is a testament to me that what I'm doing is accurate. The foot zone is also accurate, that there are really ways to read the body more
Are.
than just a blood test or more than
Yes.
just, a stool sample, which those things can give us a lot of information, but it leaves out the crucial energetic part of the body.
Yes. And, we have been accessing our energy meridians since the beginning of time. Every civilization has had some way of reconnecting to our bodies through frequency, through touch, through healing, through grounding. It's not this newfound idea. It's going back to our roots. And so when people look at this as if it's like woo woo, it is like, oh, that's not normal. And it's like, actually, this is the normal. We're just remembering, we're relearning these things that our ancestors have done for thousands and thousands of years. And so I love that the hair scanning stuff, like that's fantastic because that's a blend of frequency, which is like the body's like magic. I want to say magic, but it's so powerful. And then the science part of it too. And that's like the perfect of both worlds.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Okay, so who would you recommend? Who can benefit from a foot zone?
So we actually say we have a saying in foot zoning that honestly anyone can. It's from womb to tomb. So as long as it is a well-trained practitioner, and I'll give you kind of a few precautions here in a second about that. As long as they're a well-trained practitioner, everyone can balance. Because here's the thing that if I could put out there for the world to hear is the only thing a foot zoning does is open your energy meridians. That's it. So if someone is making like some crazy claims of like foot zoning is going to cure you of cancer, or foot zoning is going to get you pregnant in 5 sessions, it's just not accurate. Foot zoning balances your meridians, and then when your body is balanced, your body does its job correctly and your body heals. And maybe that's healing from cancer, or maybe that's getting pregnant, but the foot zone only opens the energy meridians. So, that being said, everyone can benefit. Everyone can benefit from being a little bit more balanced. And if you just ask yourself the question, well, what could happen if I was more balanced? There is your list of benefits. Maybe it's goes away. Maybe it's better sleep. Maybe it's improved digestive health, hormonal health. I specialize in women's fertility and hormones and health and everything. It could be that. It could be your kids have a better experience at school. They're able to learn things more. It could be also at the end of life. Like we have quite a few foot zoners who work in hospice. And it helps them to maintain that state of balance because death is also a natural part of life, you know? So it really is anything from womb, preconception, even, you know, like we work with people for infertility all the way to the end.
Is it something that is safe for during pregnancy?
Good question. So back in the day, this we do what's called the Erdstall method. It came over to the United States in the late 1980s by Charles Erdstall. And back in the day, they used to teach that you had to push through a signal with 10 pounds of pressure. And there wasn't a whole lot of energy work involved in it. It was just more blunt force pushing until a signal gives way. Part of what sets We Defeat seminars apart is we actually work with the energy instead of force a signal to open. So if you can imagine like a river with a dam and the dam is just stopping the water, back in the day they used to just blast through that dam and it would force the signal to open, and they could potentially experience something called a healing crisis where their body, that dam breaks, right? And everything releases. And that may be what you've heard of, if you've ever heard of people saying like that you detox or you get a headache or things like that, or it's not safe for pregnancy. The reality is back then, it's just they were pushing too hard through the signals. And so what we do is we teach three crucial factors. We go shorter, faster, and lighter. Shorter on our time, faster on our hand movement, and lighter on our pressure. And by doing with that on anything that would be considered like a precaution, like pregnancy or cancer treatments or a chronic illness or mental health conditions, this allows the body to balance in a very gentle way. And so they don't experience the healing crisis or anything like that. In fact, it works with the body. And so if it's done correctly by a practitioner who knows how to read the energy correctly and slowly, honestly, anyone can have it. Anyone can experience it. But that's where my one caution is it does matter. I mean, I believe all foot zoners are doing their best, and I love that. But if you do have something like pregnancy or cancer treatments or something like that, that's where I would be more precautious, and I would just try to make sure that my practitioner understood that.
Hey, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I hear you saying over and over again is watch for people who are making outlandish claims
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
avoid them. Like,
Yeah.
foot zoning is going to cure cancer. Well,
It doesn't.
it
That's
does.
not what foot zoning does. Foot zoning brings you into a state of balance. That's it. And I don't want to be that person who makes these claims and is the miracle worker, because then I also am the person who's responsible when it doesn't work. You know, like I'm not the one responsible. I'm just bringing the body into balance. And then how your body responds is up to your body. So I will say, though, the vast, vast majority of the time, you respond so well and you feel so good after a foot zone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
sure you've had that with your zones, right? Like it just
it,
feels good.
it does. It does feel good. I have a practitioner who uses a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
but like it hurts in the moment, but I notice so many more benefits after that. I'm like, okay, it's totally worth it. And
Yes.
I have so many experiences with foot zones, even in the beginning when I was very skeptical about
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, I would notice benefits.
Yes. I would be willing to bet your practitioner also understands how to move energy. Is that true? Okay.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they didn't blend the two worlds. That's also something that's changed nowadays. Is back in the 1990s and 80s, it was just force through it and then let things happen. Versus now, you can be a little bit more firm, but the practitioner just needs to know how to move the energy correctly. And if they can account for that whoosh of energy, it still does work. And I personally prefer my foot zones to be a little bit more firm too because it feels good.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's a good point. If they understand how to move energy, then it should be good too.
Yes. Well, and I feel like it's important to find a practitioner that you feel like you have good energy between
Absolutely.
two, because I've had foot zones that just felt really awkward, and
Mm-hmm.
me and the practitioner did not have a very good connection. But the one that I have now, so she lives in Logan and I live in San Diego, California area.
Yeah,
Every time I go back to Utah, I schedule an appointment with her
I
because
love it.
I love the connection that we have. It's like a therapy session and a foot zone rolled into one, and I sleep so much better. My headaches go away, my pains, my aches, my back aches, because I have a couple of bulge discs.
Mm-hmm.
So she works with that and helps that energy flow through my back and through my head and through my neck, and just like a lot of pain goes away
Yeah, yeah.
for me.
And I totally agree that you do need to have a rapport between you and the practitioner. And there is a foot zoner out there for everyone. Like there truly is. There's so many out there. It's just you have to kind of look for them. And then once you find us, it's like, wow, there's a lot of you out here. It's so cool.
Yes, I need to find some in my area, um, so I can get them more often than like once or twice a year.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We are slowly expanding. I have quite a few people up in Burbank that I've taught and Simi Valley. I think that I know one or two down in San Diego, but we're slowly expanding. It's very big in Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Arizona, Colorado. Like we're really big here, and then it's just slowly branching, and I love it. I love seeing it. Like we just graduated. I just graduated. I teach the online course, and so I just had a student from Pennsylvania, Texas, California. And another one is just starting up in Ohio. It's cool to see it's moving elsewhere, which is we need that.
I keep trying to convince my husband that I need to do foot zoning school, and
You should.
he's like, you're already doing this like emotional processing thing and the hair scan thing, and do you need this? And I was like, you would get a lot of free foot rubs,
Yeah,
okay? Like, can we?
exactly. And it works perfectly with it. So I think that's a great idea.
Yes. One day I'll get him on board.
One day.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit more about the similarities and differences between foot zoning and reflexology.
Yes, good question. So, reflexology is where we come from. Reflexology is our roots. We are very grateful to reflexology, but we love that we have grown and changed some of the things. And so, my dad always says the difference is, reflexology is like a 1970s Volkswagen Beetle, right? It's going to get you from A to B. It's going to do a great job. It's sturdy, it's good versus what we're driving is the equivalent of like I don't know some fancy Lamborghini. Like it's still going to do the same job. It's just a little bit more detailed, a little bit more working with that energy. It's refined. That's
That's
a good word. Yes, refined is a good word to put that. And so a lot of our techniques come from reflexology. There's going to be a few differences though, like our pressure is definitely different. We do try to address the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. We work on the body in its entirety, head to toe, top to bottom, every session, versus oftentimes in reflexology, it's more symptom based. And we also are very detailed. So Eunice Ingham was known as like the mother of reflexology. She one of her original treatments was to drill one direction on the big toe with firm pressure for 5 minutes, reverse it for the other 5 minutes, and that was what she would do for the entire brain treatment. And a lot of people would feel a lot of really good results from that. Versus ours, we have over 42 different movements and intentional signals in the brain alone, and we're moving, we're clicking through glands and hormone pathways and spinal fluid flow and the cerebral cortex communication and the brainstem and the ventricles, and we're very intentional about where we're going with our signals. That would be the biggest difference, I would say.
That's awesome. I guess I've never paid attention enough to recognize the different patterns. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something new that I learned. Thank you for teaching me. And I've
Yeah.
had probably 50 foot zones in my life.
Well, that's a good sign that your foot zoner is doing their job very well. Is that you get to sit back and relax, and you don't have to know about the ins and outs of what's happening. You can just trust it to do its job.
Where could I find a foot zone practitioner near me? Is there like a general website or database?
Yes, there is one that one of our instructors, Catherine Atkinson, runs. She is slowly transitioning out of it, and we're going to try to transition into it. But hers is Find a Foot Zoner Near Me. And so if you just type in findafootzonernnearme.com, that's our instructor, Kathy Atkinson. And that's not just We Do Feet students, it's a lot of different foot zoners. In the near future, hopefully within the next 6 months or so, we're working on having a We Do Feet directory. So when in doubt, you could also just reach out to one of our instructors. We have like 34 instructors, and every one of us were spread throughout all over the Western states. And so we can help you to know where people are. And we have an amazing Facebook group that we could ask for people for. And that's often on there is we jump on our Facebook group of all our practitioners and we just say, hey, is there any foot zoner down in this area? And then we can try to connect you with it as well. So I would say try the website, find a foot zoner near me, or reach out to a We Do Feet practitioner or instructor, and we can try to connect you with the nearest person.
Okay, that's awesome. And last question, can you walk us through one or two useful areas to rub to help with common ailments?
Yes. So I had a couple thoughts. So you tell me which ones you'd prefer. I was thinking maybe we could do some more ones that are based like for female health, like hormones,
Okay.
or we could just do like general aches and pains and like headaches. Do you kind of have a preference? Or we could do both even.
Maybe let's do one of each because
Okay.
I like using these techniques for my kids if they have allergies. Like I'll rub the inside of their big toe, like
Okay.
that.
That's perfect.
Yeah, maybe do one of each.
Okay, let's do that then. So the female reproductive system, this is my little foot, this is Rosa. If we look here at the foot here, this inner heel, so this is the right foot here, and then if we're on the inside portion, this is going to be your uterus area. So this is going to be where our uterus hugs the ankle bone. And so you can just lightly stimulate this throughout your 28-day cycle or 32-day or however long your cycle is, and it's going to help your body to balance wherever you're at on your cycle. So if you're about to start your cycle, you can stimulate that. It's going to help your pains to be a little bit better. If you're mid ovulation, this is a great time to do it. And so any portion of here, I'm also going to recommend that you also do the outside heel as well. This is where we find our ovary. So don't panic too much about where it is, just kind of just rub and massage. We always say intention over technique. And so try to just intentionally connect with the energy of your uterus and just sit. I like just to sit cross-legged and maybe grab a couple essential oils and just kind of just gently rub into here. Florals do great in this area. I love working on any floral essential oil, jasmine, magnolia, osmanthus, and just kind of just gently rub it in, and it feels really good. That would be one.
Okay. So, question for those
Yes.
who are only listening to the podcast and don't have a
Oh,
video
yes.
is when I rub the inside of my foot right there, my heel,
Mm-hmm.
rubbing in a circle or am I rubbing back and forth? What kind of motion do you suggest using?
So you can rub it any way you prefer, forward, backwards, up, down, whatever you prefer, but energy prefers to move in a circle. So I would say if there's a spot that's a little sensitive, definitely maybe push up and down on it and just see if it kind of moves. If you move, does it move? Does it feel better? And then to end, always try to move in a circle. And I'm just kind of doing big circles across that entire heel, inside heel as well as outside heel.
Hey, great. Thank you.
And then the other one I'd recommend is going to be for teething babies. That's a really good one. So, our teeth sit on the toes to the second, third, fourth toe, and then on the inside of our fourth toe. So, where our knuckles are going to be where our teeth are. So, I know we're on a podcast, so it's kind of hard to see, but if you were to bend your knuckle on your finger and see where it flexes, that's going to be our jaws. Okay, so the top knuckle is going to be our upper jaw, bottom knuckle is going to be our lower jaw. It's the same thing on your feet. So if we were to bend our little toesies and that top one here, that's going to be our upper teeth. And then on the bottom knuckle, that's going to be lower teeth. So what I like to do for moms, especially if they have teething babies, is I show them just to do twisting motions all the way down and just you're kind of rotating your hand back and forth, trying to do a full 360 degree around the toes, intentionally trying to push a little bit more pressure on those top knuckles. And that can help with teething. You can't overstimulate this. And so one of my favorite practices for mamas is, something like every time you feed the baby, grab their little toes and just rub them back and forth. And it's a consistent little routine, but it can really help through the teething process.
Awesome. Thank you. I did not
You're
know
welcome.
that was really helpful.
You're welcome. I love these little things. And we try to give little fun things like this as often as possible, because this is like, if it can help one person, if it can help one mama, like that's why we're so passionate about it, is we want them to find that peace, that health, and be able to work with their kiddos.
Yes. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, Bree, will you, before we end, will you just share your podcast that you have? I'll link it in the show notes below, but share your podcast, the services that you offer, and if there's any other way that we can connect with you online.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. So our podcast that me and Amanda K. Gillen host, that's another instructor for our school, she's just my ride or die, I love her, is called the Feel Your Soul. Feel as in touch, F-E-E-L, and then soul, S-O-L-E, like your foot. So we're trying to touch our feet, and so it's the Feel Your Soul podcast. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, any of the ones, YouTube even, we're in all of those. And it's not just for foot owners. Anyone can listen to it. We do cater it towards foot owners as kind of like tips and tricks, but we also try to throw in stuff else there throughout it for other people as well. And then my personal website is just Bree, Bree, .wedofeet.net. And that's going to be where you can find me. And I'm happy to connect you guys with any foot owners near you. I'm located in northern Utah.
All right. Thank you so much, Bree, for taking the time to teach us about foot zoning, for the great analogies that you've had and the tools that you've shared that we can use now to help with our hormones and to help with our kiddos. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me on. This has been wonderful.
We'll talk to you later.